Have you ever heard the tale of Goldilocks and the Three Bears? If not, don't worry, I'll explain the premise to you. Basically, there's a young woman, blonde young woman for what it's worth. She breaks into a house inhabited by three bears. There's a mummy bear, a daddy bear, and a baby bear. And the premise of the story basically goes that there's three of each item in this house. 3 chairs, 3 beds, 3 bowls of porridge. And the young girl tries the mummy and daddy item, and it doesn't quite work for her. The daddy's porridge is too hot, mummy's porridge is too sweet, but baby's porridge is fine. And you're probably wondering at this point, why am I babbling this nonsense? Of course I know what Goldilocks and the Three Bears is all about. Well, it's because I think I can finally relate. You see, in this instance, I have 3 items, like in the house in Goldilocks and the Three Bears. Except my 3 items are skateboards. See, I have baby skateboard, then I have mummy's skateboard, and you see now, I also have daddy's skateboard. And so before I go any further, I realised I should probably explain to you the difference between these 3 electric skateboards. So firstly, we have the Benchwheel penny board, powered by one motor, you can see just here. That's a 1000 watt motor, and it's the board I currently have ridden for the most miles. I've had this board for about 3-4 months now. Rode it to work almost every weekday. But it's 1000 watt, it gives you about 15.5 miles an hour, and it's a very smooth acceleration ride. Moving on, next we have the Benchwheel C2 board. So you can see exactly the same motor as the one before, only there's 2 of them now. So 2000 watts of power, and that means this board will actually take you up to about 20 miles an hour instead of the 15 of the penny board. It also takes you further in range as well. The penny board takes you about 7 miles, whereas the C2 board will take you around 15 miles. And also the acceleration is much sharper. You have to get used to it, you have to learn to put your weight much more on the front foot. But once you've gotten used to it, it's nice and simple. I've ridden this one the least, because I owned it the least amount of time before getting this monstrosity. This is the Evolve Carbon GT Bamboo Series board, which is why in the previous shot it had the funky pattern on the front of it. It's also powered by 2 motors at the back here, except they're much more powerful than the Benchwheel C2 because they're both 15 or 1500 watt motors instead of 1000 watts, so it's 3000 watts. The acceleration is absolutely insane. I will show you the remote controls in a bit, but the acceleration is so much harsher on this. The range is also supposed to be better. On these GT wheels that I've got on it now, on the all-terrain wheels, it should go 20 miles, whereas if you have the street wheels on them, so the same as the C2 here, you should be able to get around 25 to 30 miles. Which is good all in all. So I thought now I'd show you the difference in controllers. Now the 2 Benchwheel boards, the first 2 I showed you, have the same controller. It's this one. There's a single push button trigger on the top there, so it's to go forwards and pull it back to brake. There's also a red button on the top to turn it on and off. So when you turn it on, it makes that noise and you see the lights show. There's 2 different speeds you can see on it. There's high and low at the top there, and then there's the battery level on the bottom, currently only showing 1 light because the board's not actually turned on. And as you would expect, because I have 2 bench wheels, I have 2 remotes, exactly the same, absolutely identical, except one of them has far more scratches on the other because I actually fell off my board several times to begin with. But moving on to the Evolve, it's got this thing instead. it's got a screen on the front of it. So as it turns on, you can see it shows you the miles per hour. It also shows you the battery and which ride mode you're in. There's 4 different speeds for the Evolve. There is slow, eco, fast and GT. Now, I have never been able to start the board on it in GT mode. The acceleration is just too sharp, it throws you straight off. And to get a bit more context on that, we're going to go to a video that I shot with one of my friends called Courtney. Yeah, it's over there.
I'm shitting it. I'm shitting it. Look, oh bruv, that is too fast, man. Bruv, that's too fast.
Get a helmet on.
Huh?
Get a helmet on, it's gonna be gone.
Do you know what? I'll be honest with you, yeah, I might need one. I'm scared of this one. It's too fast, man. It's too fast. I can feel it when I press it. Look.
Do you see now why I told you to start on the lower speeds?
Yeah, no, for real. I couldn't even, like, even when I was literally just like touching it.
Oh yes.
Like, I was literally like, look, I'm just gonna literally just be so gentle with it. Look, I'm being, oh, do you know what? I'm not even touching it. That's what's frightening. That's frightening. Look. Oh my god, that was so fast. This is sick.
So what do you think, Courtney?
I rate it. I really rate it, man. Like the board is more responsive, but it's so sudden. It's like with the other board that you had, it's like this board, like it kind of like this is just like like it's there. The power's like there. Look, like straight.
Yeah, how's about that? Also, the Evolve remote comes in a nifty case. So there it is. Yeah, it's cool. Certainly the best skateboard I've got.